Okay, got it.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Now I got the information again. All right. Okay. So moving back to the content, I would like to start today's webinar with a quotation. Like every company is becoming a technology company, obviously, and Salesforce is at the center of this transformation. This is a quote given by the ex co-CEO of Salesforce, and it's been completely acceptable. And regardless of the size of your company, regardless of the industry that you're running your company, Salesforce is going to be acting as your core part of business systems. And we will see like why and how and what are all the benefits around having it. Then with today's agenda, I would like to go through a couple of things. To start with, we'll have a little bit introduction around what CRM is, what Salesforce is, and then we'll get into business landscapes and what does the Salesforce ecosystem look like. We'll go through some of the strategic benefits for industry leaders and also organization leaders. I want to spend a little bit more time on the demo and playground setup in terms of like how you can do it, what are all the benefits, and how you can see, realize, and understand and align yourself with CRM systems within the Salesforce landscape. We'll also look into what are all the implementation capabilities and the return on investment you would be getting. Then I will always love my session to end with the key takeaways because we'll be spending way too much time on a lot of different topics. But by end of the day, we need to have certain key takeaways to understand what are all the bigger lessons that we have learned today. And the last one is we obviously open up questions and discussions for the last 5 to 10 minutes. That's my target, so that you can ask as many questions as you can. And then to start with an introduction, why CRM matters. I'm pretty sure people on the call would know the abbreviation of CRM, which means like customer relationship management. Even back in the days, like 50 years before, 100 years before, like 200 years before, when the trade was a thing, it always happened through the relationships that you have. It always happened through the network you have. It always happens through the people you know. And over the each and every transformation until the industrialized revolution happens, like everything was happened in a very small scale. But after industrialization evolution happened, then people started doing all kinds of a business agnostic within the globe. So you need to have a system to start with. And even after people started using computers, the most famous CRM system was Excel, because everybody wants to track their name, their email address, or their phone numbers, or all kinds of information just in an Excel, and that's how everybody started. And Salesforce, the founder of Salesforce, he used to work at Oracle. He's one of the youngest VP of Oracle, and this is back in like 1980s and 1990s. He started thinking that, okay, this is not the most efficient way of doing it. So what can we do? And that's when cloud computing was kind of an idea that people were start talking about, because that's when the internet kicked in. So the founder of Salesforce, whose name is Mark Benioff, he came to he come up with an idea, which is like how we can collaborate cloud computing with the CRM systems that we wanted to build, and that's how Salesforce was found. So Salesforce was founded in 1999, and from then till now, it's been evolved multiple times with the multiple avenues, with like multiple scale, and it's the number one CRM system and globally. There is no doubt, nobody is pushing back on that statement, but that's how Salesforce became a thing. So when you think of Salesforce, and of course, like when I started my career, people always think, like when I say I was working for Salesforce, people always think I work on the sales side, but it's not true. So Salesforce is the technology that manages the CRM systems. And also a little bit background around like how it was started and where it is now. So it was started as a sales tool. Like that's the foundation of having a Salesforce CRM. All it contains was like it has all the sales tools and like sales features that was within the system, and that's how it started. But year over year, Salesforce was always focused on acquiring more technology and add it as part of the core platform. So when it started in 1999, all it does was like help salespeople. But today, an entire company, regardless of the size of the company, from like few hundred thousand to like few $1 billion of revenue, could able to use Salesforce and could do anything and everything within the Salesforce ecosystem. And right now, as of Salesforce solution providers, there's at least like 30 to 40 different Salesforce pre-built solution that you can just buy and plug it and start using it as of the moment you plug it in your systems. So that's how powerful it is. And to give you some numbers, the market cap for Salesforce is closely around $250 billion. So that's how it's been like widespread in the last 20-25 years. Then the other one is why Salesforce is important, because most of the organization try to make Salesforce as a single source of truth. So that's where everything ties back. So it relates to the data quality that's pumping into Salesforce. It relates to the process that the business wanted to follow, which is aligned with Salesforce. So all of those are tied back to make sure that Salesforce is always considered a single source of truth. If you ask me, like, it is real in all the organization, no. That's why like a lot of organizations are struggling to get rid of all the information that's been stored randomly and then bring everything together within Salesforce. And I will talk a little bit about that when I show you the demo. Then the next point is like 90% of Fortune 500 companies use Salesforce CRM. Surprisingly, again, Microsoft is one of the biggest competitor of Salesforce, but still Microsoft made an announcement that they are using Salesforce for managing most of their sales and business operations. So yes, like 90% of Fortune 500 is using Salesforce, which means like they all rely on the system and the benefits of using the system. And then the last one, we'll also spend a little bit of time around this topic, which is like Trailhead, which is like gamified free learning platform that Salesforce provided for anybody in the globe if they are interested or inclined towards learning Salesforce. And also, it's not just restricted with Salesforce, it also comes with some of the leadership qualities that you want to build. It provides you with so much information and resources that you can take benefit out of it. And again, we'll talk a little bit about that during the session. Moving on to the business landscapes and the Salesforce ecosystem. To start with, everybody is going through digital transformation. It could be some kind of digital transformation that all of our organizations are going through on a regular basis. And there's always a noise in the market that says like Salesforce is the most expensive CRM tool compared to all the other competitors. The truth is, it is, yes, depends on what kind of edition you are getting. So Salesforce actually comes with multiple editions that you can purchase or you can get benefit out of. And if you are a company who's having like a couple $100,000 as your revenue or like couple $1 million as a revenue, you doesn't need to buy in premium edition of Salesforce. You have something called a basic edition, and then you have something called as a professional edition, and then an enterprise edition, and then unlimited edition. There's like so many different editions that you can go and purchase. And the reason Salesforce made it such a way is to have all kind of resources to take benefit out of Salesforce. And then evolving customer expectations. This is keep on changing on a regular basis. I think most of us are getting at least 10 to 15 different email marketing mails on a daily basis. But if you see out of those 12 or 20, at least like 1 or 2 will always like outstand from its marketing capabilities and its marketing standards, because they started adapting their customer expectations. So as an example, if I'm going and looking for one of the latest model of Adidas shoe, if I didn't purchase it, the next day I will get a notification, not just about like my interest, it also shows about that particular shoe and have a little bit more information about the shoe. Like all of those are happening automatically behind the scene, and Salesforce is one of the super powerful engine that does everything. Because as I said, Salesforce has a huge scope of a lot of systems connected internally that could able to track and understand and see the customer signals and to tailor a marketing content for them specifically. That's just one example in terms of like how Salesforce is matching the customer expectation, which is like evolving on a regular basis. Then the next one is just like core CRM offerings. This is where I would like to go a little bit deeper because as I said, Salesforce starts with sales tool, but then they formed 3 main pillars as their core pillars, which is like Salesforce Sales Cloud, Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and then there is a Salesforce Service Cloud. And what it means is like if a potential customer gets into the system, then everything will be interconnected from the marketing strategy, from the sales strategy, and also the service strategy. Because like all they're looking for is, okay, if there is a potential customer, then the target is to turn them into a current customer by keeping them happy and also by keeping them educated. But even after becoming them as a customer, they doesn't stop there. They want to increase their customer success score so that they will be proactively helping them in terms of if the product that they bought wasn't used properly, then they actually have the systems to educate their current customers to help them understand how better they can use the product, which means like they are always up in the game in terms of increasing their customer success score. Then the next point is industry specific solutions. And again, this is being like super, super famous and also super successful in the last few years. I would say 2 to 3 years, where Salesforce wants to adapt. As I said, like Salesforce is always like trying to adapt based on the current customer expectations. So what they started doing is they started looking into some of these deeper industries and try to understand how they can reshift the solutions that they're providing. So what they started doing is now you can go purchase in Salesforce industry solution for your own industry. And there are like 15 to 20 different industries that Salesforce can provide you, which is a tailored solution that fits for your industry. And the reason is the sales cycle or the entire customer journey cycle for an high tech, it's going to be completely different for the customer journey in an telecommunications, which is completely different for a customer journey as a banking and also in an insurance industry. So yes, it's still customers, but the journey, the expectations, that the values that these industries or the organization belongs to these industries who needs to give to their customer changes, and Salesforce provide them an out-of-box functionality, which is industry-specific solutions. And again, I will show you something on a pretty basic level in terms of what of those looks like. Then the other one, it obviously comes with an integration capabilities. There's literally no limit based on my experience I've seen that Salesforce has in terms of integrating with third-party systems. You can pull the information to Salesforce in any format. You can push information to any other systems. There's obviously comes with some governor limits to make sure that since it's a cloud solution, nobody wants to reduce the efficiency of Salesforce. So they does comes with governor limits, but at the same time, nobody meets those governor limits if you have a proper integration pattern that you follow to integrate with third-party systems. So as I said, there is no limitation in terms of what kind of systems can talk to Salesforce. There's literally like thousands of systems. Those are like connecting with Salesforce on a regular basis. Then the next one, which is like very interesting, and there's a little bit funny background story about App Exchange. So App Exchange is very similar to our App Store, where there will be like pre-built apps that can be published on App Store. Like how if you have an iPhone, you can download those apps because it has the right infrastructure, so you can able to download and take the benefit of it. That's the same concept that Salesforce has, and its Play Store is called App Exchange. The funny story that I wanted to share is the founder of Salesforce, Mark Benioff, actually took the name App Store for Salesforce and it was registered under Salesforce. But since he's a huge follower of Steve Jobs, when Steve Jobs was like thinking of having an app store launched, he asked Mark to say, "Can I use your name?" So that's how like the app store was originally registered or trademarked under Salesforce, but it was given as a gift to Apple to start using it for Apple. So this is a funny, interesting story that I get to know when I was onboarded as an MVP. But anyway, that's what App Exchange can does. And within App Exchange, you can able to build and launch your apps. It obviously has to go through the security steps from Salesforce, and once it's been cleared, you can publish your app for free so that any Salesforce user can download and install it on their Salesforce application. And also you can able to sell your apps for as a paid solution, which is like one of the biggest revenue for a lot of partners within the Salesforce ecosystem who make money out of those apps. And the last one, which is kind of very interesting topic for all of us within the last 2 years, which is predictive analytics and automation. So Salesforce is one of the first and also most successful CRM solution provider who have a good working AI capabilities, where the AI runs within your system and it does not look into any other information from internet. So they do have a pretty well robust AI solution called the Einstein AI that runs within the Salesforce ecosystem. And then moving on to some of the strategic benefits for leaders, I would like to categorize this into 4 different aspects. Number one is enhancing customer experience. And this is kind of the foundation for Salesforce. They always want to put the customer at the center and build the process, system, and people around the customer. So that's why it always comes with 360-degree view of your customer. You need to know about your customer much better to provide them much beneficial return, so that they can stay with you rather than losing them to your competitors. They're always more focused on personalization at scale, and the system that they have is going to help you by all means. There's no limitations on it. The Salesforce does also come with omni-channel engagement. It actually helps you in terms of knowing the customer's interaction across different service sectors. So as an example, if you're having a trouble and if you're trying to reach out to a customer support team, if you send an email a couple days before, and if you're trying to connect with them on a chat, and if the chat got disconnected, and if you're trying to call them on a 1-800 number, all that information and all the interactions that you had in the last couple of days or weeks has been properly registered and also aligned with your profile. And when someone picked the phone on the other side, you don't have to repeat all of those things. So it's been completely streamlined within the system. So yes, obviously they see value in it, they kind of enhance it, and that's how the omni-channel engagement was pretty powerful within the Salesforce ecosystem. When it comes to revenue growth, as I said, I have a lot of experience in it. Most of the organizations think that they have to just increase their marketing strategy to increase their revenue operations. That's not necessarily correct, because when it comes to revenue growth or revenue operations, there's a lot of foundational things that need to be fixed. So in my experience, it's people problem, process problem, and then the system problem. When you see it, that's how even the priority comes in. So the first is the people problem, then the second is the process problem, and then finally the system problem comes into picture. But Salesforce is going to help you to define the process. That Salesforce is going to help you to define what kind of systems you need to have. And also, since you have both of those well aligned with your needs, then it's going to be much more easier to address your people problem. And all it requires is a proper training and help them guide in terms of being successful in this revenue operations. When it comes to revenue, it always starts from lead generation. Just your list of potential customers, and then you nurture them. Once you nurture them, you try to either convert it into a new customer, or you try to do an upsell, which is you try to help them to buy something more for their current problem, even though they are your customers and not using some of the other avenues that you offer. Or sometimes you try to do a cross-sell, which is having a customer in one solution provider versus another solution that you're providing, and you still could able to do a cross-sell within the revenue operations. And the last one, which is most important, to reduce your churn rate or increase your customer retention rate, because all of us, and again, all of us as in B2C customers and B2B customers, we always try to look for better solutions, and we also sometimes feel less valued if our providers aren't giving us much more information or not treating us properly. So Salesforce is going to help you to avoid all of those cracks if you go through all the process in place. Then the third category, which is data-driven decision making, and again, Salesforce, since you are making Salesforce as a core part of your business, you're going to funnel through all the information within Salesforce. So it's going to provide you the real-time reports and dashboards. And I have a few reports and dashboards that I want to show as part of this webinar. That's going to help the executives to make a better decision based on the information that they see on a real-time information. And then the second one, which is predictive analytics for forecasting. This is not the AI solution. The predictive forecasting is part of Salesforce for the last 10 years, maybe more than that. And what it means is based on the potential deals that can come through, and based on the leads that get generated, based on the stages those potential opportunities get closed, you could able to forecast how your current quarter and your next quarter look like, and what kind of potential changes or investments you can make. Like all of those could be like able to made based on the predictive forecasting feature that you have in Salesforce. And by the way, you will not pay anything additional to get those information. Then the last one is customer insights for product development. Salesforce, as I said, like have the capabilities of having an integrated solution. You could able to connect and integrate and see, okay, what kind of product usage has been done by this huge customer, and if they are not using then what they're supposed to, then that could give you a signal to Salesforce, and that would initiate a conversation between the customer success team and your customer that kind of like helps build that relationship. Then the last category is like operational efficiency and scalability. Obviously, Salesforce is a cloud solution, which means you can use it from anywhere and from like any devices. And since the data stores in the cloud, there is no latency between any of these systems. Then the next one, which is like cross-departmental collaboration, which means since this is the core of business systems, the finance team have access to it, the marketing team have access to it, the sales team have access to it, the support team have access to it, the customer success team have access to it, investors have access to it. So since all the departments have access to this core business system, which is Salesforce, you don't have to manually prepare the information, and by the time you prepare the information, hand it over to other department, the information what you prepared has been changed by the time you develop versus like what's in the system right now. So it kind of like helps keep everyone informed with the amount of information that they need to know, because like marketing team needs to have specific kinds of access versus sales teams to have specific kind of access with the data that they own. So all of those is easily adaptable and acceptable within the Salesforce ecosystem. And the last one, which is like mobile accessibility for remote workers, as I said, that is kind of the foundation for them. So it's like you can able to use it, you can able to have it on your mobile app, like you can access it from your tabs. Because there are like few use cases where if you have agents on the road, they could able to use Salesforce on the fly using their iPads, and we have a fantastic use case with telecommunications. I'm pretty sure most of you have experienced someone coming and knocking at the door with an iPad and asking for your information, or probably looking into your information if you are their customer and if you raise any concerns. A specific example within Salesforce that provides us like field service, which means they could able to access all of your information and your concerns and your problems just from the app that Salesforce allows you to access from your iPad. So overall, as I said, like from a business leader standpoint, if you're considering about like few areas where you are skeptical about whether Salesforce is going to be the right solution for you, obviously it is, and there's like a lot of ways that you can able to address it. This is the slide which kind of resonates all the stories and all the scenarios that I have been covering so far. Imagine that your customer is at the center of all the systems, starts from your sales side of it. Like the sales team is working with your customer, the service team works with your customer, your marketing team understands about the signals from your existing either closed won deals or closed lost deal, and they could able to provide some personalized marketing content for them. Salesforce do have commerce solution. A lot of retail B2B and also B2C are using commerce solutions that comes with Salesforce ecosystem that's focused on your customer. Tableau, obviously, if you are having any kind of analytical background, there's like two big players in the market, and Tableau is one of them. So since it's part of Salesforce, you could able to connect it easily with all the other information that you're pulling across sales, marketing, and service, and could able to generate high valued analytical reports through Tableau. MuleSoft is a super powerful integration solution, which means yes, Salesforce by itself is going to allow you to integrate with third-party systems. But if you want to do a lot of transformation before the data needs to be pulled in or pushed out, then MuleSoft comes into picture. And most of the IoT systems or solutions that they need to be integrated with Salesforce, MuleSoft plays a major role in it. Data/data cloud is the biggest entry point as of today, because all the AI solutions that Salesforce provides you is going to be pulled from Data Cloud, which act as a net new stack between your stack of technologies that's going to empower you with a certain amount of information that wasn't accessible before the Data Cloud or centralized data platform exists. So that's a pretty new baby in the market across all industries, across all potential CRM competitors. But that's the new thing that everybody is jumping onto. Then Slack, obviously, everybody would have used a collaborative way of working with your team. So Slack is one of the biggest collaborative tool and also productive tool, to be precise. That's part of Salesforce ecosystem. Net zero is more focused on like reducing carbon print, and Salesforce is a huge believer on giving back to the community. So Salesforce focused and built a strong application around net zero support. And as I mentioned, there is like a huge investment made from in Salesforce ecosystem on like industry solutions, and these are all the different kinds of industries. As I said, like there's literally like 12 industries, and it's keep on growing, where you can able to go purchase a Salesforce solution for that industry, and it comes with all the capabilities that the industry require. Because as an example, the financial services have completely different expectations and the information in the data model that needs to be tracked from a customer standpoint compared to, compared to a retail industry. So all of those data models, all of those foundational work has been already done on the industry solutions side. Then when it comes to partners, like it also gonna help your end customer to manage their partners. So Salesforce do provide something called Experience Cloud slash a community cloud, which means you as a huge customer, you always work with either your customer or with your partners, and to help them connect with you on a regular basis, you have a capability to open up the portal for them, which is called like partner portal or customer portal, and those fall under Experience Cloud, and you could able to share the right amount of information with your partners, and the updated price books that you want to share it with them. And also most of the time they act as your resellers, so you can able to like give them certain level of access for them to build an invoice that's going to resonate, that the invoice is coming from you as a base customer. So that's also there. And then the success, obviously there is a huge customer success team and the modeling within Salesforce ecosystem that comes with the suite of solutions. So overall, if you think of a customer and the problems that the customer may have, or the potential solutions that the customer need to have, Salesforce have the entire suite of solutions around them. And I'm not going to go through each one of these points, and if you want to take a picture, go ahead and take a picture. But overall, these are the different kinds of success, these are different kind of industry, and these are like certain kind of platforms that Salesforce provides, and you can able to get benefit out of it as an end user. Okay, I'm gonna stop there because like I know I've been like talking a lot about Salesforce. I also told you a lot about the benefits of using Salesforce. Now I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna let you to take a picture of this, and I also gonna share you a link in terms of how you can set up a free trial. And I want you to take to a different screen to walk you through a small lead to opportunity closure process. So for that, I have to share another screen. All right, I think I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, excellent. So after you sign up for a free trial, this is actually a free trial which I created for the purpose of today's demo. So I created it this morning. But if you decided to start using Salesforce as your CRM systems, the day you purchase Salesforce, you will have this user interface. The user interface is not going to change. Since it's a free trial, it comes with certain information that helps you to have a more meaningful walkthrough that we're going to have. But if you get a brand new Salesforce org, the only difference is you will not have any data, obviously, because you have to feed your data based on your business. But that's the only difference you will have. So that being said, after you purchase your Salesforce, or if you're already using Salesforce, this is your home screen. So this is the landing page that you always try to set for all the team members. And this could change based on individual team members. So me being on the marketing side needs to see something else compared to the sales guy, compared to the executive. as a person who is logging into Salesforce, and Salesforce allows you to do it. So as I said, like today I want to more focus on purely like lead generation till like opportunity closure, which is like lead lifecycle. So where it all begins is like it all begins from lead standpoint. When it comes to lead, what lead slash prospect means, like somebody who is really interested in getting your product is all they are looking for, and they might fill in form on your website, or they might be referred by someone else. So the very first touch that you do with a potential customer is by creating a lead within the system. So as an example, let's say, okay, I want to look into John Steele as a potential lead. What I will do is I will go ahead and create new. So when I click new, it comes in an form user experience, and you fill all this information. Again, the good thing is Salesforce allows you to remove any of these fields or add more fields, and there is like any number of field types that you can use to create all these fields. And I'm going to go pick an example which already existed as a record. So this is a potential user interface that you can get. The flow that you see at the top is called pack. It's going to help you to understand, okay, what is the current status of this lead? Okay, it was either, is it unqualified? No, it is not. Okay, is it a new lead? Yes, it is a new lead, and somebody already started working on it. So that's why it's moved to working. The nurturing is you started sending them like specific information about their interest. That's called nurturing. And converter is like when they are giving you a signal that they are ready to purchase either your product or your service. That's when you convert them. And also here are the list of information that you track, and all your lead information will stay here. Then you also have some of the additional or added information that you can track on a lead or prospect, which means like from where that lead generated. So within the CRM systems, there is a concept called a campaign, which is kind of a gateway for all your potential leads or prospects. And you could able to track and understand, okay, does this lead belongs to one campaign, or does this lead belongs to multiple campaigns? And the reason you have to track it is to showcase what kind of success that the marketing team is having, because the marketing team will focus more on like running successful campaigns, and understanding what is the return on investment, and understanding what are all the qualified leads that they generated. And again, that's what the primary goal for marketing team, and the system is helping them to meet their marketing goals by providing all these options. So on the left hand side, what you see is like list of all the campaigns that the same lead could go through. And on the right hand side, these are all the 4 major activities that you do with this lead. To start with, you either call them and you track that call log. As an example, like since they showed the demo, they actually tracked, okay, the demo which to Don has been showed on August 4th is a call log. Then you also have like set of tasks that you are creating, and one of those is, okay, I want to call Jim, and that is the task that they created on June, and try to call Jim on Thursday, which is again the future one that's coming next. Then the third one is like you can able to create events that will be tracked within Salesforce, and it will show up on your calendar. And the good news between your Salesforce calendar with can be connected with your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar. So it has like all the capabilities of connecting with your calendar. And then the last one, which is like emails. And this is one of the most powerful tool that I really like, which means like you can able to connect this with your Outlook, or you could able to connect this with your Gmail. So whenever you are having any email transactions happening between you and your potential customer, or even in your coming customer, you can able to log it within Salesforce, and that could able to show you the entire track of it. Why we have to do all of these things? Because today, Prag as an account executive is working on this potential lead, and if Prag has been hit by the car, we cannot lose that lead. Yes, of course, like that's a bad incident or a bad accident, but still somebody needs to work on it. Since we tracked everything within the system, this record can be easily transferred to the next best person who could able to jump on and start working on it. And that could be like easily done by clicking one button, which is like, okay, I'm changing from Prague to someone else, and you search for that user, and since it's a demo user, you do not have more than one user, but in real life scenario, you will be having more users, and you could be able to add them as your owner. So that's kind of a deeper dive into lead. This is a similar experience you will have over account, which is the company that you will sell the product for or the services. This is the same experience with your contact. That's the human that you are interacting with, who is working at the company for which you are selling. And this is the opportunity which tracks your business or the deal information. Yes, so you're working with the company, you are working with the person, but you are closing what? So that's the information that will be tracked at the opportunity level. And there are like different capabilities that you can do across all these objects within Salesforce. And one of the biggest value that I see on the opportunity is you can able to see it in a Kanban view, which helps you to understand, okay, these are all the 4 different categories of opportunities I have. I'm working, so I already closed $500,000 for this year. I'm working on a couple of deals worth $200-ish, $200,000. That's in the negotiation state. I do not have anything in the proposal. I have around like $150,000+ worth of opportunities that's in needs analysis, and there's like $200,000 worth of deals has been like already qualified, so I have to pass them to different stages. So to implement this or to enable this within your Salesforce ecosystem, you do not have to do anything. Like all of this comes out of box functionality, and all you have to do it is you need to have a proper setup at the beginning, and then feeding the right amount of information, and all of this is going to be enabled for you automatically. Two quick things that I want to show before we move back to the slides, which is number one, a lead conversion, which is very, very important for anybody who's in the CRM system knows. A lead conversion is a potential lead converts into a customer. And to do that, if you see that John Steele is ready to purchase your product or the service, what you'll do is you try to convert them. And if you see it at the top left corner, there's a button, and these are all like different buttons. And all you do is like you just click convert. And what it does is it allows you to create or connect with an existing account that's just in your system. It allows you to create or map it with your existing contact, and it also allows you to create a new opportunity or an existing opportunity. So for example, let's say we are creating a new account, we are creating a new contact, and we are also creating a new opportunity. Okay, and the name of the opportunity is what I want to do it as Big Life Inc. DNS webinar service, just for an example. And again, I'm going to convert it into like qualified status. The moment I click convert, what it does is it actually tracks all the information about that is generated from lead, and it actually converts to opportunity. So this action is mandatory for marketing to show their value. And also, if this opportunity close, then the attribution towards this closure will like tie back to the group of people that worked on that lead. So in most of the organizations, if not all of the organization, will pay commission to any kind of lead creation versus the lead conversion versus opportunity closure. And when it comes to commission, it always like been split between marketing and sales. And most of the time, organization who doesn't have a proper attribution model will have this problem. So Salesforce actually allows them to have a better attribution only if you go through this entire process. And that's why, if you remember when I started the session, it's always the people problem, the process problem, and then the system problem. The reason I told you in the priority in that way is because like the system problem is going to be like much more limited compared to the process problem, which is again can be easily addressed compared to the people problem, which needs to be trained. But if you could able to solve it, it's going to be like much more easier to avoid all these attribution problems with the help of Salesforce ecosystem. Okay, so now what I did is I just like converted and lead to an account contact and opportunity. And if you see here under contact roles for this opportunity, it comes as in primary contact role, and this person is making a final decision to purchase this opportunity, purchase this product or service. So let's say Once the opportunity is at the final stage, you want to close it. So all you do it is like you close, and you make it as like closed one and save, and it's been closed. The amount, let's say it's like $100,000. Click save. Now, if you go back to the Kanban view, which I showed you, it will like bump it by like $100,000. So overall, this is the entire lead lifecycle model from lead creation to opportunity closure. As I said, I want to quickly show you the report. So if you go back to the report, let's say we want to see a report on like what are all the closed won opportunities by type. If you see here, these are all the different kinds of opportunity that been closed within this whole year under different types. And if you see this one, this is something that we created right now, which is like 20th of August, and it's been closed one by Prague, because as I said, these are all like real-time reports. Like you just created a record and automatically it reflects on the report, because most of the executives will see only at the report level. And even at the C-suite, what they do is like they go one level up, because like they want to see only the aggregated values of all the business processes going through within the company. So all they do is going to look into dashboards, and we can able to create as many dashboards as we want. This is one of the example called like executive sponsorship dashboard, and this is going to show them everything about how the company is doing, what is the year-to-date revenue, what is the year-to-date revenue by quarter. Like you can able to split and see all of those things. And if you really wanted to know a bit more about this 164K, I can go and I can interact with it as an executive. I can click it. It actually takes me to the report that feeds that information, so that I can able to see what are all the different opportunities that fit that user interface. So for overall, as I said, it's a piece. I could able to show only certain features within the given time, and I'm happy to answer more questions if you have during Q&A section. Now I have to switch back to my slides, so I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to start share my screen again. Move back to the slides. I hope you guys can able to see my slides, and then I talked about Trailhead, which is a self-learning platform. Almost everyone, doesn't matter whether you are starting Salesforce career today or whether you are in the Salesforce ecosystem for the last 20 years, every one of us actually goes to Salesforce, try to learn new things, because since it is a technology solution, and also since it's a cloud solution, and also, as I mentioned, customer needs are changing on a regular basis, you have to uplift yourself. And Salesforce is releasing a lot of features on a regular basis, but they also do major releases 3 times a year. So what's the one place that you can go to learn about all these features, all this roadmaps that's coming up in the future? It's none other than Trailhead. And if you go try to learn Salesforce, and if you go search it on Google, you can get at least 1,000 results. My personal recommendation is stick with Salesforce powered resources. I'm going to repeat it again. My recommendation is to stick with Salesforce powered resources, which means check the website. Is it like a Salesforce website, or whether it's a Trailhead website? These are all the 2 source of truth of websites that you have to rely on when it comes to learning, and also when it comes to trusting the information that you are reading it online. Okay, so make sure you take all these benefits, and this is the most updated information that you can get, because there's like thousands of dollars has been invested on this one. Actually, in fact, millions of dollars has been invested, and like thousands of people are working on a daily basis to keep this information updated that's been showcased on these 2 websites. So make sure that you get a lot of benefits out of it. And once you get into Trailhead, there's like a lot of ways that you can learn about your Salesforce needs, or if you're new, if you want to set your Salesforce career, yes, this is going to be a fantastic starting point. And these are all certain points that you can able to get benefit out of Trailhead. Then quickly I want to jump on into implementation, because that's where people always think, okay, yes, this is already an expensive tool, then what about implementation? the good news is you're going to implement it in a right way the first time, and you're not going to worry about an huge maintenance cost year over year, because Salesforce is upgrading the features, the security measures on a regular basis. And if you have to make any changes, they will give you instructions and guidance. And if you do not have the right resource or the team internally, then you can able to get benefits from partners like us. We will come, we will help you, we will accelerate your needs, we will check, align your systems with your business process, and we will actually give you that perfect Salesforce org to you, and then we will walk away. You do not need someone to sit around with you on a regular basis to keep the system up to date. And when it comes to return on investment considerations, the initial implementation is the biggest investment that you have to make, and make sure that you're doing the right kind of investment so that you don't have to worry about your long-term maintenance costs, as I mentioned. And also, you either being an executive leader or someone who's going to help executive leader to be successful, make sure you understand what are all the KPIs that you want to track and focus in Salesforce. The other biggest important thing that you have to consider in terms of either starting your Salesforce on day one, or you already used it for so many years and you still wants to improve, always take phased approach rather than doing everything in like one go, because you cannot measure success if you're trying to do everything within your initial launch, or if you're trying to pile up a laundry list of things that you want to do it together and do a release. Salesforce do have a fantastic DevOps process. Salesforce do have an amazing deployment steps. You do not have to worry about investing too much time on testing and deployment. So you want to like pile up all together, you do not have to do that. And when it comes to resource allocation, as I mentioned a little bit, there's always a component between like internal contribution and also like external hiring partners, and make sure that you hire a registered Salesforce partner, because Salesforce have a lot of checks that they have to go through before they onboard someone like us. Cohort is a Salesforce registered partner that they have to go through, and they have to keep them updated. They have to prove Salesforce that they have the skilled resources to work on their customers. So that's the only thing that few of the customers make mistakes of not hiring a registered Salesforce partner to help them with their Salesforce needs. As I said, like I literally covered so many things that a company of $250 billion worth of market cap tried to do in the last 25 years. But we're going to go a lot of things, particularly around the demo that I covered in the webinar series that Digital Nova Scotia is hosting in October, and I will be the one who will be running that entire webinar series. I will show you the link how you can register for it. But overall, a snippet of the big takeaways that you need to understand, being either a potential Salesforce user or a current Salesforce user, is like Salesforce is for all. It's not for only enterprise level organizations. When we started the company, like it was like very few employees, and our revenue was like definitely less than $500,000, and we still use Salesforce to run our business because it's much more easier to accommodate and adapt to a system like Salesforce compared to once you grow big and then start migrating from any other CRM competitor to Salesforce. It's going to be a huge investment compared to the initial investment you do. Then the second one, make sure Salesforce is act as your core component of business systems, and design all the other systems that integrate with Salesforce. As I said, yes, Salesforce could solve all your problem, but I'm not telling you have to use Salesforce as the only solution to solve all your problems. There might be like specific solutions out there. For example, Outreach is a fantastic tool to solve a specific problem. You could able to connect Outreach with Salesforce to have that integrated experience. That's what we are trying to say, to make sure that you use Salesforce as your core part of your business systems. Then number three, Salesforce comes with a customer-centric approach. So it's going to help you, motivate you, and kind of like handhold you to make sure that the process and the system that you build around your customer are going to be following the customer-centric approach. Number four, it's going to help you with like data-driven decision-making capabilities. That's going to be like super helpful. We have gone through the reports and dashboards. Number five is low long-term maintenance costs. This is something I want to highlight. People think like it's a huge maintenance cost, but that's not true. If you do the implementation in the right way, and if you go through all the releases like 3 times a year, your maintenance cost is going to be way too less than any other solutions that's in the market. And the last one is like pioneered in like AI adoption for CRM. They are kind of number one. They already started using the AI solution. And the guy who's on the slide is the AI face for Salesforce CRM. Resources for next steps. As I said, this is just an overview of a lot of things around Salesforce. Take a picture of it. And the first one is going to take you to the next level skill program that I was mentioning about, that was powered by Digital Nova Scotia, starts at the beginning of October. Then the second one, you can access that URL to create a free trial. And after you get access to the free trial, what I showed you is what you get. So you can play around with it. Don't worry about it. You're not going to break it. And after 30 days, it's going to expire by itself. Number 3, Trailhead. As I mentioned, you can go to that link and you can sign up for a Trailhead account, and nobody can stop you from learning unless you want to stop learning within the Salesforce ecosystem. And the last one, as I mentioned during the beginning of this session, that's a Halifax Salesforce community, and I'm leading the Halifax Salesforce community for the last many years. And there is an event happening today, and also there will be events coming like once every 2 or 3 months. Make sure you access that link and register yourself, and that's the only way. If we are hosting any events, you will get a notification and you can able to come to those events. It's completely free. Most of the time there will be like a content focused get together, but sometimes days like today, it's going to be like more casual. You will able to like come meet with the fellow Salesforce folks within the community, and yeah, you can share your ideas, you get inspired. It's a fantastic place to hang out with. So yeah, those are all the talks and tracks that I have for today. This is my QR code that takes you to my LinkedIn profile, and feel free to stay connected. You cannot bother me by asking questions because I love answering questions. And I think probably that's pretty much it. So I'm going to come back and leave this on the screen. And I'm going to need some help from Mumbai about what are all the next steps. Like, how can I answer any of the questions that's coming through?
Hi, Prague. So we just have a couple of questions in the Q&A if you'd like to open that up, and we can go from like the top down.
Okay.
Or do you want me to just read them out?
I'm trying to, since I'm still sharing, I'm trying to find a Q&A chat.
It's at the bottom, but I can read them out.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. The first question is Salesforce being used by settlement providing organizations?
Yes.
Okay.
It does. Yes.
Awesome. The second question is, what are the built-in Salesforce tools to support data governance?
Oh, fantastic question. So Salesforce do come with all the governance limitations. So you can define who can see what kind of information. You can define who can access what level of information. The access starts from view to edit to delete. You can able to define all of those things. And from compliance standpoint, and I'm a huge security guy, as I mentioned, Salesforce comes with features to handle GDPR compliance. Salesforce comes with features to handle SOX compliance. So yes, like all the compliance and the regulations that's available out in the market, Salesforce have its inbuilt capabilities to handle them.
Awesome. Are there any specific pricing options for non-for-profit organizations?
Yes, both the pricing and the data model exist for non-for-profit organization. I don't know who asked that question, but if you can reach me after the session, I can guide you so that there's like a lot of benefits that non-profit organization can get. They get a free Salesforce org with certain number of licenses. There's like a different thing that Salesforce does. They do a lot for non-profit, and they give a lot of free resources for non-profit particularly.
Awesome. When comparing Salesforce CRM with alternatives like Dynamics 365, HubSpot, or Zoho CRM, what unique benefits does Salesforce offer that might make it the better choice? Specifically, what features or capabilities set Salesforce apart from these competitors?
Yes, yeah. I'm gonna pick HubSpot to Salesforce because that's It's one of the biggest migration that almost all organizations do once they start scaling. Because to start with, if you are an organization and if you have like less than $1 million revenue, everybody wants to go with HubSpot. And I'm not questioning about their decisions that they're making, but the reality is there's only certain things that you can do it within HubSpot. And after you reach the certain threshold point, you have to migrate to Salesforce because of the capabilities it comes with. So as an example, Salesforce have a specific way of handling a B2B business versus a B2C business across all the domains that I was talking about, right? From a marketing standpoint, you have a different process that you can able to get benefit between B2B versus B2C. From a sales strategy, you have a different process between B2B and B2C. Between the customer success strategy, you have a different process that you can able to do from B2B to B2C. This is just from like Salesforce inbuilt functionality that's uncomparable to all the other competitors. Then the second most important thing that people kind of misses is almost all the SaaS products out in the market comes with an out-of-box connectivity with Salesforce, which means if you have a DocuSign connected with the document generation platform, it automatically can be aligned with your Salesforce CRM. Like it automatically plugs in with like a minimum investment that you have to make that comes with CRM. And also like the most advanced integration patterns and integration techniques has been comes with Salesforce CRM compared to any other competitors. The last and the most important thing is Salesforce comes with an highest security steps and measures that I think, knock on wood, but until today, like the data breach within the Salesforce ecosystem has been like zero unless there is an compromise happened at the customer side when they didn't follow any kind of best practice, like not enabling multi-factor authentication, etc. So these are all kind of like four main things that I can say on top of my head, but there is like 100 more reasons why Salesforce is much better than any of the other tools.
Awesome. How is Salesforce different compared to Google Analytics in terms of web analytics specifically?
Okay, Google Analytics is completely different. We are comparing apples and oranges. It's not apple to apple comparison because Salesforce is a CRM solution. Google Analytics is an analytical solution. So that's where the base difference is. And also Salesforce is more focused on customer relationship. Google Analytics give you more insights about where you're getting more traffic from, what kind of signals that you're getting on your website. But it stops there. It does not give you that information. Okay, Prag as a profile is coming on your page once every few weeks, and finally he filled a form. Now he is a potential lead. So now you can backtrack and see all the activities that Prag has done on the website. So as an BDR / business development representative, having better conversation and better data points to talk with the potential customer, and that's going to benefit the customer, and that will increases the possibility of closing that potential customer into your current customer, and also it speeds up your lead lifecycle.
Awesome. And then our last one is, we have a lot of different non-Salesforce systems at my organization, such as case management, ERP, project planning, marketing, automation, etc. What are some best practices and potential challenges to be aware of when integrating information from multiple systems into Salesforce?
Yeah, that's a good question, in my opinion. And the reason is, if a company already invested on a lot of different systems like this, which means they have the interest and the goal to grow within the organization, they haven't been channelized on what kind of investment they make. So first of all, you have to talk to your business owners about the benefits of having a centralized platform, which is Salesforce. And second of all, talk to individual teams who owns those applications and see which one is much more vulnerable than the other one. And most of the time, it's like service support team might have ServiceNow, and that might covers only few benefits for them. And marketing team might have a marketing automation like MailChimp, might cover only few things. But once you understand what your problem is, start small from a Salesforce ecosystem standpoint, bring Salesforce to the picture, try to integrate your other systems like one at a time with Salesforce, and see after the integration happens, and see whether you still need the system, or slowly transition that system by like moving away from that system to Salesforce, because Salesforce already have that feature that you can able to manage it. The other biggest benefit, I know it's not the answer to that specific question, but the other bigger benefit is you do not need a lot of skilled specific resources at the organization, and most of the organization couldn't able to hire them. What they usually do is, okay, you are the marketing person, okay, now your job is to learn about email marketing. Maybe that person doesn't know email marketing, and maybe the person doesn't want to do email marketing, and still they are forced to do it. And if that person leave, everything within that within the scope has been like untouched. But when it comes to Salesforce, since it's like a lot of transferable skills within the Salesforce ecosystem between different modules that I talked about, it's going to be much more beneficial from you from like integrating and also start migrating them to Salesforce and start using Salesforce as your single source of truth.
Awesome. And that's all the questions we have for today. Thank you, Prag, for answering the questions, and thank you for such a informative presentation. I'm sure everyone enjoyed it. Thank you for taking the time to come up.
No worries. Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, as I said, if you do not have time to ask question here, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to answer. Okay.
Awesome.